Welcome into another episode of Roll Pod. I am Brett. That is Mike. That is Alex. It is South Carolina week. Alabama traveling to Columbia for a road matchup with the Gamecocks for a 2:30 Central Time kick. Alabama coming off a big win in Bryant-Denny Stadium, 6-1. 4 straight SEC-ranked teams have lost to the Crimson Tide. Alabama seems to be rolling, but this is a game that we've circled kind of previously, maybe in the summer and all the way leading up as a game to look out for. We're going to get into it deep, but Mike, Alex, how are we doing?
Good. Week is flying by. Just got to get to the bye week, right?
Right. It's the second, already get to the second bye week, but
the fourth Saturday in October.
Right.
The lesser known Saturday in October.
That's what, South Carolina, Alabama, the fourth Saturday in October. It's a historic rivalry. I wanted to start before we dive deep into it. And that's something we talked about last episode and something we've talked about ad nauseum. Alex has been hitting on it, Mike, as well. Alex has a great story up. It says, "Are Alabama fans finally ready to embrace Kalen DeBoer?" ? That's the headline. By now, everybody's seen kind of the viral video of Kalen coming out pretty fired up at the tunnel. Some are said it's the best walkout. We'll leave it up to the Twitter people to decide whether that matters or not. It doesn't. Who cares? But you are seeing a new Kalen DeBoer. Deontay Lawson was talking about it as well. It said he was kind of adjusting or,
evolving was the
word. Alex, we'll give you the floor there.
Yeah. We sort of hit on this the first bye week, right? And when I talked to Kalen, he basically said, I had to change. I had to accommodate what this team was lacking, which was what we saw against Florida State. Just a lack of leadership among players, lack of intensity, and him sort of stepping into that void and saying, okay, I'll be that guy. I'll be the, fire and brimstone guy. If that's who you need me to be, I'll yell and I'll use words that I would not be comfortable with using at home or probably in his own office, but that's what they respond to. So that's the energy he's bringing to this. And that's what you saw coming out of the tunnel was a guy who was fired the bleep up. Like I wrote, it looked like he wanted to punch somebody in the teeth and just saw a goalpost and said, I'm going to smack the shit out of that as we go out and get everybody fired up.
Yourself out. I mean, you're going to go the full Kalen DeBoer experience.
Oh, that's true. I should. The great part about that clip, by the way, the one that's going around, is hearing the production people being so awesome. Whoa, what is this? But it's what's been building for a long time. And, I wrote the column. I was thinking about it going into the game. But it's just like, look, at what point are you ready to say this is your guy? Because he's changed for you. He's been more what Alabama fans have wanted, which is more emotion. Because I think more than anything, they were used to that with Nick Saban. And he's winning. Like, we can talk about how the product isn't perfect, but 4 straight wins against ranked opponents, it's never happened in the SEC without a bye week. And we keep seeing other teams, other coaches not be able to handle these situations. We keep seeing teams, when they have a debilitating loss, just circle the drain and disappear. I mean, how many coaches have been fired already because of that? I mean, Penn State just died on the vine the minute adversity hit. And Kalen has weathered all that, and he's made this team better, and he's got them in a position to make the playoff. If not, just be outright national championship contenders. And I just think at a certain point, Alabama fans need to be like, look, you don't forget Nick Saban. Let's not get crazy. But let's accept that we're in this new place now, and this is the coach. And are you ready now? Are you ready to say I'm all in with this guy? And I think if you're not at that point yet, might need to be pretty soon. There's still a lot of ways to go. Obviously, this weekend's game is dangerous for a lot of ways. You still got to win and get to the playoff and do all those things Alabama expects. But I think this is what everybody wanted when they got Kalen DeBoer. They got a guy who, he's created helped foster a Heisman Trophy candidate quarterback, one of the best receiver rooms in the country. Sounds an awful lot like Washington. And he has them winning, and he has them playing with more emotion. And I think coming out of that game, it was time to take stock of that.
Yeah, real quick before Mike gives some thoughts. Just on the recruiting side, it's interesting to hear kind of from some commits who've been in the fold for a long time, and some recruits, they kind of carrying the kind of same thoughts as well. It was like initially, it was, he's so laid back, and he's coming to my office, and he's chilling, and he's relaxed. And now they're kind of the general consensus. He's up. We go back to that. It sounds so stupid, but that Uber Eats report, I think that might have tipped the scale. He brought it up months later. It's like that one got him really fired up. I don't know what that was, but I don't know.
He finally did address it publicly. When I did talk to him, that is something that came up, and you could tell he was
right.
That's the stuff that gets it. What everybody saw against Florida State, he has no problem with people going nuts on that. But it's the made up stuff that made no sense. And that's why we talk about, on the last podcast, it's them versus everybody, because they're like, screw all this. We've gotten so much thrown in our face, we're not going to forget it. Sorry, stepped on your toes.
And the lingering question on that one is, did the person who made that Facebook post, did they actually talk to a booster who believed those things, or was it completely fiction in the sense that, because it was attributed to a booster, was the actual whole thing fiction?
I think we might need to redefine what a booster is.
There's no clear definition. It's a very nebulous.
I think that's part of the problem. And does anyone who gives money to Yale, Alabama qualify as a booster? Because I was going to say, we pay money to be able to see what content is on Yale, and we're not boosters.
Right. It's a very old school term that just kind of needs to die, for lack of a better term. But it's is it legitimately somebody saying that thing, or is it somebody that just was it a Tennessee fan that created the Word document and pretended that was a booster saying into that?
Possible.
I don't know which one is, or is it AI? I don't know. Nobody knows.
You know what? Week one got really weird. Ryan Day was having a nipple ring, and there were Uber Eats, all these things that were just not true. It was great. It was just going around. Who cares? Who cares what's real and what's not?
Well, that's Facebook. I said it at the time. Sometimes it doesn't matter what's true. It matters what people believe. And in the realm of politics, politicians use that to their advantage all the time.
Yeah. Mike, I'm interested to hear your thoughts on the DeBoer, kind of specifically because, obviously,
I don't think it's
covered Saban forever. You also covered Bill Belichick. It's two of the. So I just kind of hear your perspective.
I don't think it's necessarily if Kalen DeBoer wrote whatever book Bill Belichick just wrote, The Secrets of How to Win. I forget. What was Belichick's book called? It was
How to Win and Screw Up Your Legacy.
The Art of Winning, Lessons from My Life in Football.
Illustrations by Jordan.
Right. If Kalen DeBoer wrote the same book, The Art of Winning, Lessons from My Life in Football by Kalen DeBoer, I don't think he would have this in it. I think his ideal state is what he was before. I think that's what he always has been. So this is, I would say, not ideal, but it's not his natural state. It's not what he necessarily wants. I think he's doing it because he feels like they need it. And so in that sense, he's flexible. And honestly, he's probably more flexible than you mentioned the other two coaches. He's definitely more flexible than Belichick. I don't think Belichick ever really changed. I think Saban was actually good at adapting to his players, but more kind of on an individual basis. I think that was one of his great strengths, was kind of identifying the learning style of each player and how to talk to them and how to coach them.
But just to jump in, one of the things he did struggle with at the end was getting an entire team up, because he talked about it a lot, that Tennessee game a few years ago, standing in the tunnel and being why is it so quiet in here? So even Nick was dealing with this. Yeah.
You just mentioned that again. I think it was on game day last weekend, how you mentioned that exact story about, the team not being excited. And he said those last couple years, it became harder to get players not to play with anxiety. That term that people love around here, because, of how much winning they had done. And then when they weren't winning, it was kind of the weight of it. But I say, on the whole, Saban's coaching style didn't really change. I think it was more individual. How he handled each player changed, or he just kind of figured out each player. So this is probably a bigger swing than what I've seen. here's the question. Does it continue? Let's say, they're successful this year. They go deep into the playoff, whatever. Does he walk in next year? Is he back to what he kind of wants it to be or what he has done in the past? Or does he keep going with what's working? I think that would be an interesting question for the offseason. But for right now, it's working. I do think there's always a balance. You don't want to be playing, as we said on the show Monday, you don't want to be playing emotional. You want to be playing with emotion. Mm-hmm. I can remember covering Rex Ryan's teams, and Rex was, like a gorilla pounding his chest sometimes. And it was too much. And I remember there was a game against the Patriots early in that year. This was, peak Tom Brady Patriots, where they were just so fired up. I think they were 2-0 or 3-0. And the Patriots came to town and like, we're going to finally show them who's boss in the AFC East. And they came out and they committed like 15 penalties. It was like unnecessary roughness. They were doing all this late hit stuff. And it was clear that they were playing too emotional. They were too fired up. And you had a very calm and collected quarterback on the other side who just kind of went about his business. So there's always a balance. I don't think Kalen's obviously in danger of swinging too far to the other side, but you want to make sure your players are still grounded, going into this next game. Because I think this is a big swing where you go from 4 straight wins over ranked opponents, physical games, competitive games, you're smoking cigars, taking photos, and all of a sudden you're back on the road. And that can hit you pretty quickly. So that's what you have to manage this week.
It's kind of like a teeter-totter. That's not the right word, but like, if the players are up, Kalen doesn't have to be up. If they're not up, he has to be up. Like, that's the balance with him. And that's why I think moving forward, ideally, he gets back to being more of the coach that he's used to being in games, which is more reserved, more of that guy who balances everybody out. But for the time being, this is what this team needs, and it's what he's going to give them moving forward. But you're right. It's right now, it's the how do you refocus? And that was a different celebration. Missouri, Kalen talked about like 24 hours, wasn't even 24 hours. They were already moving on from that win. I think Tennessee lingers a little bit, but how much we'll see really on Saturday if it has any carryover effect.
Yeah. Looks like Mike's got something maybe.
No, I was just looking back at the story I wrote after that Bills Patriots game 2015. They committed 14 penalties for 140 yards.
Holy moly.
And I said players in the Bills locker room after Sunday's loss spoke about the team being, quote, too rowdy, overly hyped, and too fired up. So I've seen it both ways is what I'm getting.
Right. Well, guys, like you said, you both have alluded to Alabama, and like I said at the top of the show, back on the road for the first time in a month. It seems like forever. Not in a month. Why did I say that? They were at Missouri October 11th. But going into the season, road matchups were a big question mark that was being asked a lot at SEC Media Days. Asked a lot, how are they going to handle it? Obviously, they failed the test in week 1, but aced it at Georgia. Aced it at Missouri. A lot of that is emotions as well. So just kind of diving into this road matchup. And I have written down, the record may not show it, but this South Carolina team is talented. It starts with the quarterback. That stadium is always going to be rocking. It's going to get up for Alabama. I think Alabama fans should be happy it's not a night game. It's going to be a raucous environment. We'll start kind of just with overall big picture. Mike, what's kind of your big, we started off kind of the same way, your big point of focus that, going into this matchup?
I think I said this before the Vanderbilt game last year, but I just don't see Alabama losing this game. Just because it's a trap game doesn't mean it needs to be a trap, is what I wrote for our prediction on our website. It's just South Carolina's beat the F up. Like, even their best, like Dylan Stewart's hurt. Their offensive line is down some guys. Like, and even last year's game, it was close, but it was close because of a lot of fluky stuff in that game.
That was a weird game.
You had that 4th down touchdown that South Carolina had late in the first half. And then you had the timeouts wrong on the scoreboard. So Jalen Milroe threw over the middle of the field when he had no timeouts and he got intercepted. And then South Carolina kicked a field goal. You had the Jeremy Bernard play where he could have ended the game. Instead, he scored a touchdown. The game kept going. You got an onside kick that South Carolina recovered. Like there was a lot of random stuff, but like the numbers were good. Like Kane did a great job against Lenore Sellers last year as a runner. And that was, 6'3", 240 pounds. That was a issue that you were worried about coming into the game last year.
Yeah, 16 carries for 19 yards.
Right.
Last year.
So people talk about like, Alabama struggles with mobile quarterbacks. In some cases, yes. In some cases, no. That was an example of where it really wasn't a problem last year. Now, he went 23 of 31 for 238, 2 touchdowns. Again, one of those was that fourth down, wide open play. It was just weird. But I don't see it with this South Carolina team. I know South Carolina can be a tough environment. Alabama hasn't played there in 6 years. It wasn't tough that day from what I remember being there. I think the LSU game could be tricky just because I think LSU is a much more talented team than South Carolina. I think on paper, they're still a very good team. I think Oklahoma matches up well against them in some ways. I think Auburn is Auburn. I just don't know if this is the game that I would worry about the most. And I don't really see it. That's kind of where I'm at.
I don't, but again, I think we've covered it enough to know that weird shit happens. This is a weird game where, going on the road to Williams-Brice, we know what that is. At the end of a run of 4 straight games against ranked opponents with the bye week on the backside of it, are you tired? Are you looking ahead to a week off? Are you buying into your own hype at this point now that you're a top 5 team? And oh, by the way, you're going to have to tackle Lenore Sellers and you're a team that doesn't do well tackling the ball carrier. There's just so much there that it's like you don't want to take it for granted in any way. In some ways, I think Alabama fans should be rooting for a continuation of the Mike Shula experience, because if you can get them playing horribly offensively, that crowd will just get so pissed off. They're already mad enough at him that you can take him out of the game. That's sort of where I'm at. And we've talked about it for 2 months. Special teams is going to be an issue at some point. This is an opponent that thrives on special teams. What's going to give? Will we see that sort of pop up? Can Connor Talty get right? Can they keep the big play from happening? There's just a lot in this game that, I agree Alabama should win. I think Alabama should win pretty handily. But there's enough there that gives me pause that you just want to see Alabama continue and sort of close out this stretch of games and then be able to get into the bye week and regroup, knowing what you have ahead of you with obviously LSU, Oklahoma, and Auburn.
Yeah, I just don't know if the margins are going to be close enough for a fake or an onside kick or something like that to matter. Whatever Shane draws up, there might be something. Or for it to matter that you don't necessarily always get the best out of Connor Talty.
Understatement.
I don't think it's going to be a 3-point game. So I don't know. But I will say, like, I wrote about the other day, like they've been outgained collectively by their last 4 opponents. Not only that, but when you look at SEC games played this year, Alabama is 9th in yards per play. Now they've had a tough SEC schedule, but they're 9th in yards per play and they're 12th in yards allowed per play. So the 5th most yards allowed per play. Like on paper, on a per play basis, this has been a middle of the pack Alabama team. The difference has been the turnovers and third downs, especially. Like those two things, staying on the field and not coughing up the ball on offense has been huge for them. And getting teams off the field on third down and coughing up the ball has been huge for them on defense. So it's one of those things that it's hard to sustain sometimes just because you don't always get the turnovers. You don't always not commit a turnover in offense. There's some luck involved there. The way the ball bounces when it's on the ground, etc. So, it might hurt them down the road if they don't have that turnover margin, but I just don't know if the margins are small enough in this game for that to matter.
Yeah, I did a quick thing. Last time Alabama was at South Carolina, Tua went 28 for 36, 444, and 5 touchdowns. That was kind of
that was what they did every week too.
Was that?
So that was a good Najee Harris game, if I remember correctly.
Had the run down the left sideline where he hurdled the man.
Yep. But I did look. Their team running totals 25 carries for 76 yards. So it's like almost gonna. I don't know if Ty's gonna have a similar stat line to Tua, but like it's almost like the same type of offense. But I want to talk about the other side of the ball. You talked about it. Mike Shula is here, but that offense is. I'm trying to be nice here. Not very good at all. Alabama's defense continuing to improve, but like you said, there is still some maybe run fits and some tackling issues. Alex, who are maybe some kind of putting on the spot here, who are maybe some guys on Alabama that you think this guy needs to have a good game, whether that be to kind of continue to improve his self-stock or, as Alabama as a whole, like you said, getting into this last kind of stage, if you will, before the bye week to really feel good about this unit?
There's two guys, and they both had pretty good games last week. And Jan Zapier, obviously, I think you're going to need him to continue to affect the quarterback. And the same thing goes for James Smith, because ultimately, like, you want that play out of your linebackers, especially with the matchup with Sellers and knowing they're going to run him. But Sellers is so freaking big. He's bigger than Alabama's linebackers, all of them.
So big.
And it's like you're going to need everybody up front to get to him, and you're going to need to stop him before he gets a full head of steam. And I think that's why it starts at the line of scrimmage. And can you just sort of knock him off his rhythm and keep him from getting that momentum? I think those are two guys. And then the back end, comes down to those safeties limiting the big play. And that's in both the pass game, but more specifically with the run game, because we've seen way too often when a ball carrier gets past the first line of defense off to the races against Alabama. That has to stop at some point. Like, you can live with giving up 10, 12, 11 yards of carry. You can't live with 30. So it's up to Bray, it's up to Keon, it's up to, Drake or Patrick, Zay Mincy, whoever's back there. They got to clean up the mess when it does happen, because it's going to happen against SEC teams, and specifically against this kind of team where they have a physical brand of running the football and they have explosive guys. So it's a little bit those guys right up front. And I think, again, it's the back end limiting those big plays.
Yeah. You think Alabama? It was a kind of a big lot. Justin Okoronkwo, I was looking at it. I feel like he would be a pretty big piece of this Alabama defense, just kind of in the middle. I don't know. Just quick comment there. There's
it's
interesting.
What if he hadn't left? Right. What would Alabama have done?
Right.
It probably wouldn't have gone to go get Nikhil Green. Is my guess.
Well, the timeline's a little off there.
Yeah, because they got
Okoronkwo left.
Right.
Okoronkwo left when Deontay and Justin Jefferson came back.
Okay. But it would have been, he would have been buried on the depth chart. So we probably wouldn't see this, which is hence why he left. He's a guy to watch, though. Obviously, he's going to want to do something against his former team.
Right.
That's what I said about Isaiah Horton last week or the other show. I'm like, sometimes it works out for the other team that got a guy, but sometimes it's still – like, should you have left? Should you have left?
Alabama fans are going to be okay with Okoronkwo leaving this year. It's next year when it's like, wait, who the hell are our linebackers right now?
I mean, imagine in
Columbia and go, what, man? Come on back.
Yeah.
The portal's weird sometimes, and it's just, I don't know, but it wasn't even Alabama's fault. I mean, obviously you're going to take Jefferson back. You're going to take Lawson back. You already got Nikhil Green.
And they didn't want Okoronkwo to leave. They didn't want to leave, but they couldn't give him a starting job. Simple.
And they went to Nikhil because Nikhil just did an interview about it the other day and basically went to him. They're like, sorry, but this is what happened. And he's like, I'm fine with it. I'm cool. Like, I'm staying. And you just had too many guys.
And give Nikhil credit. He's playing pretty well. I mean, the missed tackle stuff still shows up every now and then, but he is what I thought he would be in terms of, at least he's disruptive.
Yeah.
Like he flies to the football, and he may not get the guy down, but at least he slows him down a little bit.
He's Tresman Marshall in the sense that he's better than having somebody inexperienced. I don't think he's going to get drafted, Just like Tresman Marshall, I don't think even got a shot in the NFL. I think he went to the CFL right away. And, it's one of those things, like if you're winning, it's fine. If you're losing, you're pointing to like, could they have upgraded at that position?
Yeah.
It's one of those things. It's just that it's nice to have, but you can probably, if you had Xavier Griffin on this team this year, like if you had him instead, you'd probably be playing him.
Yeah.
I did not say that. That was not me.
I mean, not
guys
to go
coming
way
up
down,
like EJ Crowell, Xavier Griffin.
Right.
Would you start for this team right now?
Right. Not to go way down the rabbit hole, but when Griffin comes, are you going to keep him at Wolf where you already have Rousseau coming back and Pierre, or are you going to move him inside where you need somebody?
Or do you move Rousseau?
The consensus seems to be they're going to probably move him inside. And there's also Jair Edwards that, I mean, people compare him. People have thrown out Minka, and I'm like, let's use that.
Every Alabama DB who could be great is Minka.
That's right. And it's just, I was like, let's be careful with that. Not only is Minka an all-pro, he's also went to Alabama. So some of the comparisons there. Kind of flipping to the other side. I saw it on our site. It was a very good discussion. It feels like there was a consensus, though. But who's one player that you would want from the past that you feel like could really be? I think Alex contributed on this. Mike, I think you did as well. But it's interesting kind of argument. I don't know how we haven't really thought about it yet. But the exact, I don't have the exact phrasing pop up, but it was a former Alabama team player that you feel would be great to add to this team, current roster. One player, Alex.
There are two guys. There are very few wrong answers on this one. I would actually say Jonathan Allen, because I think you need a heavy who you can play alongside Keenan.
Yeah.
Because that was the underrated thing about Allen, is he could play any spot on the defensive line and just be a freaking stud. And I will never forget him flying through the air and killing the Texas A&M quarterback. What was his name?
Was it Trevor Knight?
Trevor Knight. It was Trevor Knight. The long run of teams getting former players who beat Alabama. And yeah, just took him out. And he was elite, man. And he did play with that fire and that intensity. And he's a smart guy too. On top of that, he'd be the guy that I would say. I don't think you could be wrong anybody on the defensive line, but I think in terms of fit with what they currently have.
That's right. I feel like any front seven.
And I know exactly what Mike's going to say.
I feel like offense would probably be considered.
I mean, I thought Quentin Williams was a good answer, but I think it was the first person who responded to that.
Yeah.
I actually haven't given my answer. I think Will Anderson is my pick. I don't know how exactly he would fit in this Kane defense. It's a little bit different than what Saban did, obviously. So at the end of the day, he's Will freaking Anderson. Like, I don't think it matters what the defense is. But of all the players that I covered, he's a Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
He's going to be in the NFL Hall of Fame. I've been convinced of that since he was a sophomore. And it's not just the on-field stuff. It's really good guy, good for the locker room, good leader, all the intangibles. Like, there's a reason why this.
So there's a little bit of a difference with Will and Jonathan Allen. And I'm picking nits here.
You're saying that Will's too nice.
Yeah.
Yep.
Will was a lead by example guy. He was exactly like Bryce in that instance. That's why it was so unique to see them both on the same team. Jonathan Allen was I'm going to punch you in the freaking mouth if you don't do exactly what you're supposed to do on this play. That's what this team kind of needs. And that maybe then in that scenario, Kalen wouldn't have to smack the shit out of a goalpost to get teams fired up. That's my only, like, Will Anderson is the Terminator. He's insane. I just think that leadership part of it is a little bit different.
I did see one comment. It made me laugh, but it's also true. You make the argument. I saw Will Reichert on there. Someone was like,
that's a deep cut. I thought Mike was going to say Derrick Henry.
I saw a lot of Derrick Henry.
No, I mean, I think that would help, but I don't know. Like, depends on what exactly you feel like is the biggest weakness on the team. And I feel like their offense is good enough. I feel like their defense, if they lose a game, is going to be more likely to let them down. So it's about need. I mean, Devonta Smith might be the best player, best season I've covered. I don't think they need him on this team, et cetera. So, I mean,
are those the two best seasons? Is it Will Anderson's sophomore year or Devontae's Heisman year?
Devontae's Heisman year.
Will Smith, I mean, Will Anderson, what how many tackles for loss did he have that year?
He had an incredible amount, and he did
820, I think.
I forget some of the timeline there. There was a little bit of a lull at some point. I don't like to use that word, but there was a little bit of a lull at some point. And it just it depends on need. It depends on need.
Yes, that's fair. That's why Will Reichert is in some ways a really good pick.
And there could be a game where they miss a field goal in Jordan-Hare Stadium, like Joseph Bolovis did, and everybody's like, "Well, it'd be nice to have Will Reichert in this case."
Will Anderson had 102 tackles, 34.5 TFLs, and 17.5 sacks in 2020.
It's insane. He's a Hall of Famer.
Yeah. Oh my! I mean, I've read that stat line 100 times, but holy,
yeah. And he came in immediately and was like, "This guy's going to ruin people's lives." Like immediately, he was that.
And to your point, like with the biggest smile on his face, and the like approachable laugh, and
he had an edge. He just didn't. He was his own thing. That's the only thing I was trying to get across with Will. Like I'm not dinging Will at all.
I think he was a pretty damn good leader. Yeah. It was a different team though, just personality wise, than it was before that. And I think Saban kind of said that they relied too much on, like, everybody was looking to Will and Bryce to make a play. They were looking to them for leadership. And
most of the time they did, by the way, they did make a play.
They did.
To be fair.
How they got them both to play in that Sugar Bowl when they were not in. I'll never understand that.
And Will, and that Sugar Bowl media day, Will went for like 25 minutes, was answering every single question, and then shook all of our hands after. And I saw him at the combine a couple months later.
Very nice guy.
Kind of gave me a what up, and it's nice when players kind of.
Will made eye contact with me. I'd run.
Right. He was not that
smart. Not a quarterback. Not a quarterback. Don't kill me.
He was very personable.
Yeah, he was.
Absolutely. Yeah. Speaking of leaders and lead by example, or punch you in the face, where do you kind of feel like Ty falls on this? And Alex, it's funny. Like ever since you said, I feel like he's harder on himself than anyone. It's like that's like beaten into my brain. Like he is. What was Mike wrote it up? The mantra was, we haven't beaten anybody. We haven't lost anybody. That's kind of the quarterback mantra. Yeah. Just kind of, what's your take there?
It's overplayed, but he's mini Nick in some ways. He's got that perfectionist obsessiveness with football and with all things. But with football specifically, where I think if he completed 75% of his passes and threw for 4 touchdowns, he'd be mad about the incompletions. I think that's just how he's wired. I think it's being the son of a coach and watching film your entire life is you're drilled into your head that it's the thing you can improve on, not the thing you do well. And that's what he talked about the other day is their mantra as a quarterback room is prepare like you've never won, play like you've never lost. And that's sort of what he brings to the table. And he's got that fire in him. He's got that drive to be great. And in some ways, and I think that's what Kalen has talked about. He talked about Ty wanting it to be perfect all the time. There is a balance there though, right? Like as a quarterback, you have to be okay with it not being perfect and just throw the ball away and live to play another down. And that was a positive development against Tennessee as he did throw the ball away a couple different times. He did say, of course, because it's Ty, there was another one he should have thrown away. But you like that from a quarterback. You like that from a quarterback who's a Heisman Trophy frontrunner right now. May not be the guy, but he's right up there. And he still sees a lot of money left on the table. And I agree with him. I don't think it's all him. I think the offensive line could do him some favors. But, yeah, he brings that energy to the table. And that's, Caden Proctor talked about it. Mike wrote about it last week. Ty ripped into their ass after that game because he knows how good they can be. And that's exactly what you want from the quarterback position. And I think, more than anything, that's what gives Alabama hope in every single game they play. And I'll be honest, 6 months ago, I don't know if I would have said that about Ty. I didn't know that all that was there. I knew the talent was there, but it was always a question of like, could he, like Mac Jones, could he get over the mistakes and just let it go and go play another down? He's done that at a really high level, and he just hasn't made that many mistakes on top of it. And so, yeah, he's playing elite football right now. He's the kind of leader you want on offense. He's doing everything right.
I mean, I feel like I don't know if I'd say that 2 months ago, or I guess what is it, October 22nd? Yeah, it's like almost 8 weeks ago. Florida State game, like, and then I mean it showed in what Kalen did the following week with Austin Mack. Like there was some level of doubt there. Like let's not forget, and then just he's kind of taken it these last 7 weeks where he's taken over the team, and you can sense a greater comfort level, greater confidence level, even when he talks to us. And that's exactly what you need. It's just, and he's wired the right way where it's like, all right, what's the next thing to do? What's the next thing? Where do we need to get better next? And I don't want to say we didn't hear that out of Jalen Milroe. We just heard nothing out of Jalen Milroe. It was just kind of very even.
Yes.
Whereas I think Ty kind of allows himself to kind of be open to reality a little bit more. I don't know how to phrase that.
We laughed when he said, because it sounded so ridiculous after the Florida State game, when he said after the first drive that they got complacent. Looking back on it, I kind of like that he said it, because he's like, you know what? We weren't the shit after one touchdown. Like, and he's got an ability. He is so well liked on this team. Like it does shine through. And what I appreciate about him more than anything else was that he started that in January. Like he didn't wait for anybody to name him the starter. He was having guys over, grilling. He was taking guys hunting. He was doing everything that a starter does, to where, like, when you see on the sideline, like, he just has an ability to affect other teammates in a really positive way. And it's not just offense. Like, he says everybody on this team's his best friend. And I'm not sure, like, he's not lying. Like, he believes that, and I think they believe that too. And you have to have that, because when shit hits the fan, you got to be able to look the other guy in the eye, and he's got that. And I think, maybe, the stuff of Disney movies, and maybe doesn't, come show up in the stat line, but I think it should be said, like, he's done a really good job of taking the pulse of this team and being, together with everybody and doing that thing that Nick Saban talked about over and over again with every quarterback competition. So I drilled into my head, he won the locker room. And that's why he can say what he needs to say, and he takes all the heat on himself, and he does all the things you want from a quarterback.
Yeah.
He's not the tattooed quarterback who, has like this certain edge about him. He's a little bit more, he's different. Like the whole Lego thing at the beginning of the year, like there's just a different energy with him, but I think people like it on the team. He's not a hard ass, but he's hard on his teammates, if that makes any sense. Like,
because he's hardest on himself.
Right.
You can do that when you stand up after everybody's calling you a Heisman Trophy favorite and saying that's ridiculous, and here's all the things I'm not doing well. Right. You can then say, hey, you got to pick up this protection, or you got to catch this pass. And he's towed that line. He's protected Ryan Williams every single chance he gets. Like, he's a coach on the field, and I don't think that should be undervalued.
Well, because when Proctor was talking about that the other day, he's like, oh, he ripped our ass in the meeting. And then he started talking about how he went to lunch with Ty. And I asked Proctor, I said, did he rip your ass at lunch too? And he goes, no, like chill time. Like, we're just hanging out. So you need to have the ability to kind of do both, and not just be like, this kind of distant figure that everybody hates because you're so hard on him. And he's kind of got the warm and fuzzy with the cold and lethal, if you will.
There we go.
Cold and lethal.
Before we get to
you're calling him Vanilla Vic or whatever these nonsense.
exciting whites, wasn't it? Exciting whites? Before we get to the big weather minute, before we wrap up, I was like trying to think of offense, but it's like beating a dead horse. The run game needs to get better. They're going to win games by passing the ball. So, first touchdown score on Saturday for Alabama, Alex.
Josh Cuevas.
Took my answer.
Really, just because I want to talk about how good Josh has been. Like, he doesn't drop the ball. He just does everything. And he's not going to probably make all SEC first team or anything like that, but he's playing really high level. And Ty trusts him, man. Whenever there's trouble, he's looking for him. And I can just see them getting down in the red zone and needing him. There are so many options, but really it's just
That's a good value. It's great value right there. He's getting. I mean, with the odds, I'm sure I haven't looked at him, but I'm sure he compared to Horton or Germany or Ryan.
And really, I just want to talk about how good he's been because he has.
There we go. Love it, Mike.
Yeah, I mean, you can roll the dice. It's anybody. I will go with, just for the sake of variety, I'll go Jam, because I feel like everybody's kind of hopped on the Daniel Hill train.
I was going to go Daniel Hill.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Everybody's thinking of Daniel Hill. Just so to switch it up, I'm going to say Jam, and Jam scores the first touchdown. But honestly, like I was trying to look up I feel like it's so spread out in terms of who's scored this year that
it kind of goes to your point. It's like, yeah, this team's good and they have so many skills, but if it was fantasy wise, I don't know if I'm touching a single one of them. You don't know who's getting the ball which week. You don't know. It was kind of similar.
In a way, it reminds me of the Chiefs. And it's just like at the end of the day, it's just a final score. Like that's what they're going to do. They're going to score whoever it is that week. That's who it's going to be. Final score, they win. The end.
If you're gonna draft somebody, draft the quarterback. Like I have Mahomes on mine, so you get anyway.
Touchdown scored from scrimmage: Jeremy 6, Horton 5, Ryan 3, Cuevas 2, Miller 2, Ty 2, Hill 2, Rico 2. MJ Churgwin 1. I forgot about that.
Pick your poison. Mike, weather minute in you were in Columbia. Mike was in Columbia earlier this month. Mike and Alex will be back in the other Columbia this Saturday. Mike, real quick, weather minute.
From our meteorologist, James Spann with the Alabama Weather Network. He has the football weather tweet this morning at 5:55 a.m. Alabama travels to Columbia to take on South Carolina. The weather will be dry with a sunny sky. Expect low 70s at kickoff, upper 60s by the final whistle. Sounds like a perfect SEC afternoon.
I have not been there.
CBS theme music.
Yeah.
Like I said, you guys will be there. With that weather, I'm hoping the press box is open.
It's not.
It's closed. But they had great banana pudding the last time I was there.
Okay.
So
banana pudding.
I'm looking forward to that. If it
we're ending it on that.
I like bananas, but banana pudding is just like the texture of it. It's like, why do you want?
It goes down easy. You can eat a lot of it.
Huh?
It goes down easy, so you can eat a lot of it.
A lot of things go down easy, but I don't want it.
For the record, I didn't say that.
This is a great loaded show per usual on Wednesday. Again, Alabama out South Carolina. Alabama sitting at 6-1, coming off 4 straight wins, going to play the Gamecocks at 2:30 p.m. Saturday, and then it will be a bye week. But we will be back on Sunday to recap the win or the loss. Either way. Thank you, guys.